This technique of the week, we're going to be working from turtle once again. And we're going to be on top, attacking the top position. Last week we worked two variations. One was the clock choke, and the clock choke to the defense to take the back and submit. Now we're going to be working more of a transition and one attack. So my opponent's in turtle, and like I explained last week, I always start from the back, and you always have to assume this guy is cross defending, right? 9 times out of 10, it's always important to cross defend. You never really want to same side defend, okay? So you always want to cross defend with this one, cross defend with this one. And anytime you put your hands on the ground, you're in danger of getting your neck taken. So you might need to do it for a second if you're the guy on the bottom, but don't do that too much. And what I spoke about in the last video was being in the back like a lap belt, okay? Not a seat belt. And make sure that your knees are pinched and my toes are active. So I'm here and I don't want to give him my elbows, okay? I need to keep my elbows back and tight. Then I'm going to switch to knee cut. Because what I've explained to the past with my students is, if you don't start to define your position, it gives him more options. And one thing I was showing Chris a while back was, if I'm just on the side, he's got all these options. Number one, he can stretch and turn into me, right? Right, exactly. Number two, he can turn away in my Granby roll. There, right? Number three, he can do a sit out. Okay? So he's got all these different options because I haven't defined my position correctly. So when I switch from here to the knee cut in, make sure your toes are active. My foot's here, active, almost like a straight leg. And then my toes here are active and deep as possible. When I get deep, I turn my ribs and try to connect my ribs to my thighs. Okay? And then I start working more of the seatbelt position. Now, one of the options that he can do is he's going to try to stretch the back leg, his inside leg, behind me and try to sit through to a butterfly or a half guard. He's going to be looking for the half guard. So I've got a little, I call it a knee weave. I weave my knee inside. So what's going to happen is I'm in the seat belt and he's going to exit his back leg. Yes, and he's going to start to sit through. He's going to be looking to put this shin inside like it is, and then he's going to be looking to put his leg over my leg. Okay, and then the next step is just to be here, now you're half guard. Okay, but once his leg goes over my leg, he's already half guard. I have to adjust after that. So this little move, here, I feel him stretch his back leg, and he's going to sit through. Now, I let go of the seat belt, I put my hand by his hip. And the most important thing is I sag down. The worst thing that I can do is try to push into him. Now there's all this space for him to regain on me. So that's why it's really important. I find my base on the ground and I sag my body below his. Right? Now it's really hard for him to regain the guard because I'm sitting on my leg here. Now all I'm going to do is I put my weight on opposing bases. So I'm on my foot and on my hand. I weave my knee through to this position, right by the hip, like this. Now, I just stretch my arm back here, and then pay attention to my knee. My weight's going to be fixed here. Pay attention to here. I stretch my arm back, step, and this folds under, like so. Don't want to leave it here because he's going to be looking for that half guard still. So as I roll it, sometimes I can even tuck it underneath, like this. And then I start to fix my side control position. So I defined my position, which is the knee cut from turtle, right? I feel him exit that inside leg, put my hand on the ground, and I sag my body down. Now I weave my knee inside, and I stretch his head using my arm, like so. Now I'm in a good 100 kilos position. Now the next position, I'm going to be working if the guy sits out. So we have two variations here. So number one, I'll be in this position, and he can kind of do like a wrestler sit-out. So go ahead and do the sit-out. Right. And then sometimes a guy will make a big step, but like a switch, like a wrestler. I have a wrestling base. A lot of jiu-jitsu guys do, so you have to be aware of what that sit-out or switch, his options from that position. So I'm in the seatbelt position. Before I go for the clock choke, and I just have the seatbelt, if he does a sit-out, I snap him back, like so. I snap him back. You want to be careful in this position not to be cranking on his neck too much. Notice how I have active toes here, and I'm blocking him with my chest, but I have this position fixed strong, not grabbing anything. Now, what arm can he put on the ground? It's this overhook arm. This arm to put on the ground to try to sit up, I'm controlling it a little bit more. He doesn't feel this. So even sometimes I can guide him to put this arm on the ground. Then he tries to sit up. Right, so he's gonna try to stretch that arm to sit up, and I'm always sucking him back. He's gonna put that hand on the ground, try to sit up. That's when I trap his arm. Notice how I trap his arm? My toes are bent, my heels caught him. Now from this position, I go for a short choke. It's not like a full rear naked, it's a short choke. It's across the trachea. Here, take this arm out, grab palm to palm, fold my arm behind his back, then I just squeeze into my body. So I'm in this position, and he sits out. I suck him back. But notice how all the weight of my body is on his shoulders, it's not on his neck. Now I can kind of lean him this way to guide him to use that hand. That's when I trap his arm, go for the throat, roll my arm behind his back, and pull in very tight. That's number one. Now number two, we start using some competition rules. If I start going for the clock choke and he tries to sit out on me, right, I keep the choke and I grab the wrist, and now I suck him back, but I go even deeper back behind the neck. This is not considered a neck crank if you have the choke, okay? So now I can start putting massive pressure on the back of his neck, and I can submit the guy here, but I'm also gonna set up the same thing. He can roll a little bit. Here, he tries to sit up, I catch his arm, and I can even let go and switch back to the same short choke. But a lot of times, if you have the right position, you need to just make a strong wrist and submit the guy. And the most important detail you're looking for here is shoulder to hand. It's not a pull, it's a press. Okay, I press my shoulder to my hand instead of pull my hand to my shoulder. So that's the position. So one more time. I get the knee cut in, I define my position. Now I start going for the clock choke, and he sits out on me. I can either grab his wrist or grab the shoulder, it doesn't matter. Now I need to exit to make a big hole behind his back. I can submit here, or if he tries to sit up to his hand, I trap, take my arm out, start going here, or even just choke here. Doesn't matter. Thanks for watching the Technique of the Week.